Well, hello, this is Todd Stevenson with Athens-Clarke County Stormwater. I'm going to be talking about stormwater and in 2020. The question we commonly hear is, why doesn't Athens-Clarke County fix the drainage problem on my property? Unusually wet weather, rusty storm pipes, and a stressful pandemic make answering that question especially important. After spring break this year, our program education specialist started overseeing social media and the hotline for COVID. Since then, she has been reinventing her position, recently partnering with other departments to explore solutions to littering. There appears to be a lot more dumping this year than ever before. Recent years have been rainy. I don't know if that's climate change or just a matter of wet years running in groups. But all the rain has accelerated storm pipe failures and stream bank erosion. The Stormwater Enterprise Fund had accumulated a rainy day surplus. For a few years, that provided a much-needed source of resiliency to keep roads open by replacing rusted pipes. Some of these pipe replacements have run over $1 million apiece. The surplus is now gone. A stormwater funding strategy approved in 2003 called for capital projects such as pipe failures to be funded by SPLOST. The latest round of SPLOST will not cover pipe replacement costs. The next T-SPLOST is worth exploring, but that's still a few years off. Capital needs are hovering like a cloud over the Stormwater Enterprise Fund. When we look at Mayor and Commission approved ordinances and policies related to stormwater, the guiding principle that jumps out is public health, safety, and welfare. Keeping roads open by replacing collapsing storm pipes is clearly our responsibility. No private citizen is going to volunteer to do that. A survey shows that 40% of property owners in Athens-Clarke County report drainage problems on their property. Fixing those problems on private property with public expenditures increases property value. That can be perceived by some as unfair, especially since there's never going to be enough funding to fix most of those issues. Many people have already spent money to fix their own drainage problems. Urbanization certainly affects stream morphology, but streams also move around naturally. If we would take a time-lapse aerial view of rivers over hundreds and thousands of years, they might look like snakes wriggling around. The U.S. Geological Survey produced this calendar with a LiDAR topographic view of East Fork White River in Indiana. Remnant stream channels are visible. Perhaps even more impressive are hand-drawn depictions of old Mississippi River channels. Georgia has had a 25-foot riparian buffer for a long time, but the Athens-Clarke County 75-foot buffer was established only 15 years ago. We think of this in terms of environmental protection. Some may therefore regard it as unnecessary, but it has very practical implications. At Anna's Walk here in Athens-Clarke County, a condo unit is threatened by stream bank erosion. That unit was built prior to our 75-foot buffer requirement. Now someone is going to have to pay for an expensive stream bank stabilization project. The old adage is that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Since we don't have the resources to fix most drainage problems on private property, what makes sense is for us to minimize the creation of new problems. Developers will sometimes point out costs associated with stormwater regulations. I believe our stormwater program facilitates responsible development and redevelopment. This community certainly has high expectations relating to runoff and to long-term performance of stormwater systems. We've been asked this year to give advice to the Plan Commission about mass grading for residential lots. We think that makes sense if we get the associated conditions right. This is a great way to prevent future drainage complaints. A new stormwater standard called runoff reduction is coming soon. The idea is that when it rains 1 inch, there will be no runoff from new construction. This will be easier said than done, both from a design and a construction standpoint. We're gearing up for that. One thing we're proposing in updated technical standards is something that is surprisingly often missed in stormwater standards. Drainage and flooding problems should be reasonably minimized for all housing, not just in those areas identified by FEMA floodplain mapping. We can see in this slide that some of the streams don't have mapped floodplain areas. Very small streams can fool people. We often hear property owners say, "You wouldn't believe how much water there is. It's like a river." Workforce housing should not be flood-prone housing. One good thing about a crisis is that there is never any doubt about the need to find ways to be as useful as possible. That's what all of us in the Stormwater Division have been trying to do. I'll leave you with this. We all want a healthy, livable, and sustainable city, and we all want to get home safely.